Protesters gathered outside Union Station in Washington, D.C. on Monday to bring awareness to the influence of money in politics. The group Democracy Spring organized the event, which began as a 10-day march from Philadelphia to the nation's capital. This rally is just under an hour.
One person! One person! One vote! One vote! Money out! Money out! The politics! The politics! Money out! Money out! Voters in! Voters in! I believe that we will win! That we will win! Money out! Money out! Voters in! Voters in! I believe that we will win! That we will win! One person! One person! One vote! One vote! Money out! Money out! The politics! One person! One person! One vote! One vote! I believe that we will win! 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 Democracy! Spring! Democracy! Spring! Democracy! Spring! Democracy! Spring! Democracy! How y'all doing today? Awesome. My name is Elise Whitaker. For those of you who don't know me, I'm going to be your MC for today's program. I'm so excited to see all of you guys here, all your beautiful faces. I'm so excited to see all these beautiful armbands and headbands and wherever else you're tying them. I'm excited. I'm so energized that y'all are here. Are you feeling energized? Are you excited about Democracy Spring? Are you excited about taking direct action to reclaim our democracy? Me too. Yeah. All right, so we got a couple speakers before we take our march and we take it to the Capitol. So first, I would just like to introduce you to Cenk Uygur. I know. It's a pretty big deal. For those of you who don't know, Cenk is the host and founder of The Young Turks, the world's largest online news show. He is the CEO of the TYT Network and a true leader in the progressive media community. Please give it up for Mr. Cenk Uygur. Wolfpack! 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 Wolfpack!
It is so great to see you guys. It is wonderful to see all of you out here. All right, so I'm going to start with a study, because that's always exciting, right? So Princeton did a study of over 2 decades, 1,800 policy positions, and they realized that public opinion has no correlation to public policy. In other words, that house over there, Congress, they don't give a damn what we think. There was one thing that had a direct correlation to public policy, and that was donor opinion, special interest opinion. So unfortunately, that great house over there has been deeply corrupted. But all of you are here to take that house back. Because it isn't their house, it's our house. I think. Whose house? Whose house? Whose house? Whose house? That's right. So we started, look, I started the Young Turks 14 years ago, but I started Wolfpack in 2011 at Occupy, actually, in New York. And the point of Wolfpack is to fix this mess, right? So what we need in this country is our birthright as Americans, free and fair elections. And I can't imagine the Founding Fathers not being enormously proud of you guys here. Because they put it in the Constitution that we need to amend the Constitution from time to time to make it a more perfect union. So they envisioned exactly this moment. In fact, they put it in Article 5 that at some point it is likely that Congress will get too corrupt and the people will have to get an amendment through the states. So they saw it. They were geniuses. They saw this very movement. And I want to tell you something about this movement, because there are some that are in the press that are naysayers, of course. By the way, why are they naysayers? Why are they critics? Why don't they believe? Because they are the establishment. So when you've got billion-dollar companies who make billions of dollars from money in politics, where does the money in politics go? It goes to TV ads. So you think those TV stations are going to turn down billions of dollars in revenue to get our democracy back? They don't care about that. So of course they're not going to be on your side. So, but those naysayers, here's what they don't understand. We always win. So in the short run, can we get setbacks? Of course. In the short run, does power and establishment win from time to time? Of course. But Martin Luther King had a great saying about this. Wrong forever on the throne, truth forever on the scaffold, but that scaffold sways a future. And that scaffold is right here, and we're ready to sway the future today. So, when we fought for civil rights, we won. When we fought for women's rights, we won. When we fought for gay rights, we won. And when we fight to get our democracy back, we're going to win. This is the beginning of that victory. So when we march today, it's going to be a victory march. So we have been under siege for a long time by the establishment. It's now time for us to put them under siege. So the first thing I ever said at Occupy when I launched Wolfpack was, they're not coming for us anymore, we're coming for them. And here you are coming for them right now, today. One final thing for you guys. Women's rights movement seemed absolutely impossible. They were naysayers back then, there were critics back then, and they said, how in the world are you going to get women the right to vote when they can't vote in the first place? It's impossible. And we did that too. So when they tell you today that it's impossible, don't believe them. The whole point is to try to discourage you. But I see you today, our wonderful brothers and sisters here today, and you are not discouraged. And the women's rights movement took 70 years, but what they don't tell you is, from the first day that they were in the streets, it only took 7 years to get that impossible amendment. And it turned out that it was possible, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So, and here we are in the streets, just like they did it, and it's great to see all of you here, and this is just the beginning. And I want to ask you one more time, whose house is that? Whose house? Whose house? Let's go on to a victory march.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. All right. Please join me in welcoming our next speaker to the stage. Terry O'Neill is a feminist attorney, professor, and activist for social justice with a distinguished history of fighting for intersectional justice, from racial and economic equality to pushing for constitutional equality for women. She's the president of NOW, which is the National Organization for Women. Please join me in giving it up for Terry O'Neill.
For Women, I am thrilled to be here to welcome you, to say we are working together to change our future, and we know we can do it by working working together. You know, the statement of purpose in our bylaws says that the NOW's purpose is to take action through intersectional grassroots organizing to lead societal change and build a feminist future, which will include all of us. Now, what do we mean exactly when we say we are going to be doing intersectional grassroots organizing? For one thing, when we work for gender justice, we will not be colorblind. We will ask the question, any kind of policy we're looking at, how does that impact my sisters of color? How does that impact my LGBTQ sisters? How does that impact transgender women of color? What is the unemployment rate? What is the homelessness rate? If we are looking at any single policy, we look to the margins and put the margins at the center of our work. That is the dedication. That is why NOW is so adamant about overturning Citizens United and getting money out of politics once and for all, and stopping these voter suppression laws, including an amendment to the Constitution of the United States to say every citizen of this country is guaranteed the right to vote. Tell you very specifically why that's so important for women. When you ask yourself, what are these voter suppression laws specifically doing to women? Well, let's begin the analysis with this. Women work a lifetime at unequal pay. And that unequal pay, a large part of it is a ridiculously low, in fact, a poverty level minimum wage. 2/3 of minimum wage workers in the United States are women. 70% of tipped workers in the United States are women. Tipped workers minimum wage, a lot of people don't know this. The tipped workers minimum wage is $2.13. Very disproportionately, tipped workers are women of color, and their gross revenue is less than $6 because of this low minimum wage that is only for tipped workers. Why get a job? How are you going to support your family? And by the way, in 40% of families, women are the primary or sole breadwinner. When you are facing these economic injustices across the board, economic injustices that are more deeply felt by women of color, immigrant women, and LGBTQ women than women who look like me, now you look at the voter suppression laws, and what do you find? Well, a key part of voter suppression laws are voter ID laws. Women are more likely to change their names, so it takes extra time and extra resources to find not only your birth certificate, but then your marriage certificate, and very often your divorce decree, to go and prove to skeptical agents that you actually are entitled to vote in this country. It is outrageous, and it is a burden that falls disproportionately on the people with the fewest resources to make that proof. We don't accept that voter suppression, and we are going to change it by taking back our country. So let's look at what happens, and let's be clear about how that voter suppression system got into North Carolina, how it gets into Ohio, how it gets into Florida. That happens because of money in politics. Way too much money in politics. Now, in theory, a rich guy like Charles Koch or David Koch, in theory, they could use their money to help elect progressive candidates, couldn't they? The reality is the Koch brothers will always use their money to elect conservatives. And what do conservative legislators do as soon as they get into office? You look at what has happened. What happened in 2010 and 2011 and 2012 and on to today? Conservative legislators at the state and federal level are waging an abominable war on women. That is what happens to women. They are determined to block the $15 minimum wage. We are determined to achieve $15 because that will help women. But with money in politics, you have politicians that want to block that minimum wage. With money in politics, we have politicians that are trying to block women from access abortion care. 1 in 3 women will have an abortion by the age of 45. It is a common and necessary aspect of our basic reproductive health care. These conservative politicians are also trying to block us from accessing birth control, where 99% of sexually active women in this country utilize birth control at some time. What does it mean when a woman can't access basic reproductive health care? She can't keep that lousy job she's got. She can't determine the number and spacing of her pregnancies. How is she going to manage her career? How is she going to manage keeping the job she has? How is she going to decide what kind of family she has and then support her family in dignity and in economic security? We must get money out of politics because that is the only way we will begin to elect more progressive politicians who will put our policies first, who will put our needs and our interests first. So women are with you. I know I've way overstepped my time and I apologize, but I do get excited about this. We are with you. We will take our country back. Thank you.
I'm so excited how many of you are here. I'm so excited about the energy in this space. I'm also excited to introduce you to some more speakers. Next up, we have Patrick Carolyn. Patrick works at the intersection of faith, climate justice, and getting money out of politics. He's an executive director of the Franciscan Action Network, co-founder of the Global Catholic Climate Movement, and Faithful Democracy. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you and welcome. What is our faith and our words, our history worth if not translated into action and sacrifice? That was actually a quote that we came up with several years ago when a whole group of us, a couple blocks from here, did a 30-day hunger fast for immigration. My brother Umi, who's speaking next, was there also. And we did a 30-day fast of just water to protest our immigration policies.
Closer to the mic. Closer to the mic.
Closer, okay. How's that, better? Great. You know, I'm part of the Franciscan family. We're used to being really quiet and meditative. So, again, I welcome you, people from many different faith and spiritual traditions, community leaders, labor leaders, young and old, people of all colors and all sexualities, joining together to bring a prophetic voice in action to raise awareness, to bring about an end to the corruption of big money in politics. To work together for a free and fair election in which every American has an equal voice. As people of faith, we recognize the responsibility of government to seek justice for all people and to build the common good. Justice cannot be achieved unless the rules governing the democratic process are just and fair. For unless the rules governing the democratic process are just and fair for all. Central to that process is a citizen's vote, not limited by power of money, social class, and unequal access to public media. I know that today, many of you are going to risk arrest. I won't be able to join you today. I'll be here next Monday, where a whole group of faith leaders are also going to risk arrest. But I'll be thinking about you today. Save some space in the jail cells for us. I often get asked the question, why? Why, as a person of faith, do I participate in civil disobedience? Why do I do things like go on hunger fast? I get asked the question of, why should faith leaders even care about this issue? Shouldn't we really just be interested in saving souls? And isn't there a separation of church and faith? And I tell people that I do this because for me this is prayer. This is how I pray. This is how I live my faith. I do it because this is what Jesus did. This is what St. Francis of Assisi did. When Jesus turned the tables over in the temple, when Jesus healed on the Sabbath, which he did every single time he healed was on the Sabbath, he was committing acts of civil disobedience. St. Francis got naked in the public square to protest the inequality of income among the people. I'm not suggesting that y'all go over and get naked, by the way, but... We all thought it at one time, but we thought, no, not a good idea. So we need to rewrite our story. We need to rewrite our story to a story of interbeing, of connectedness, not a story of separation. We need to rewrite our story as spiritual people so that we have a story that tells us that people are not considered illegal because they want to come for a better life. That we want a story that tells us that children are not sold into slavery so we can have cheap cell phones and cheap coffee and cheap chocolate. We want a story where we can... It's not controlled, that our government is not controlled by a few wealthy people, and that our laws are made to protect them at the expense of the rest of us, where people's voting rights are not taken away, and racism is rare and not prevalent. Money has always played a key role, but what kind of role it plays should be the subject to regulations that reflect ethical and democratic values. Most important, it is necessary to have policy safeguards which ensure that more than just the wealthiest interest groups have a voice in the public sphere. A broad spectrum of faith traditions share religious teachings that recognize each person as a gift of the Creator and emphasizes the human dignity of each and every person. Every person should not only have the right to vote, but he or she should have the right to speak and to be heard. Every person, our shared teachings tell us, should be able to contribute his or her ideas to shaping of our democratic government and the policies it adopts. We support the democratic process, which was founded on the concept that the best solution of problems come from the marketplace of ideas where everyone can contribute. But these contributions can be nearly meaningless when they're drowned out by a few wealthy people. For Christians, this issue, it should be very simple. It could not be any clearer than it says in Matthew 6 that you cannot worship both God and money. As people, and by the way, we should be telling all of the members of Congress who claim to be Christian, just tell them that. Every single one of them, tell them that. As people, and by the way, About 95% of the people in Congress claim to be Christian. And I really use that word claim to. So, as people of faith, we experience firsthand the results that unlimited money has on, whether it be on immigration reform, gun safety, voting rights, climate justice, and the ability to have an open and honest discussion on any of these issues. As spiritual people, we're called to create a beloved community. We're called to care for the poor and marginalized. Yet it becomes impossible to create a loving community, a common home, when the partisan divide in America is fueled by attack ads funded by private interest groups who are unaccountable and unidentifiable. A beloved community cannot be created when corporate funding supports systematic building of private prison systems or works to deny certain classes of people the right to vote. A beloved community is not one where wealthy voices are the only ones that are heard. Catholic social teachings tell us that nature of the public common good should be focused on the needs of those most vulnerable in society. As money begins to weigh more than our own voices and views, people in the pews see the country losing its hold on democracy. Recent polls have shown that 80% of registered voters across all party affiliations said they believe that our political system is corrupt and needs reform. Pope Francis, in discussing the role of money, said, "We've created new idols of the golden calf of old and found a new heartless image in the cult of money and a dictatorship of an economy which is faithless and lacking any true humane goals." Pope Francis also said, "We have a culture of disposal where human beings themselves are considered as consumer goods which can be used and thrown away." And so, as the St. John Chrysostom, a 4th century Catholic theologian, said, "Not to share one's goods with the poor is to rob them and to deprive them of life. It is not our goods that we possess, but theirs." So faith communities are in a unique position to address money and politics due to their commitment to make sure that the voices of those in need are not ignored. Our system of government becomes increasingly beholden to those who can afford to spend the most in elections. The less the voices of the poor and their allies can be heard. All it takes, though, is one good person, to restore hope. One. It's all of us. Money in politics is not just a political issue, it's a moral issue. In his encyclical, Pope Laudato Si, Pope Francis called for a bold cultural revolution. Kind of an interesting thing for a pope to be calling for a revolution. He's been traveling around the world calling for that. So let's be part of that revolution. Let's begin that revolution today. Thank you. Pace Bene.
Keep it going for Patrick, everybody. Awesome, awesome. I have another amazing speaker to introduce y'all to. Please join me in welcoming Umi Selah. Umi is the co-founder of the Dream Defenders, an organization committed to shifting the culture through transformational organizing, dedicated to building a community of love and reconciliation, and training and organizing young people in nonviolent civil disobedience, transformative organizing, and direct action. Umi, everyone.
Repeat after me, what a time. To be alive. What a time. To be alive. What a time. To be alive. We are certainly in unprecedented times. For even as the right wing seeks to annex and usurp the democratic process of our country, we find from every crack and crevice of this country, from every sewer, from every gutter, from every margin, that the left is rising. That people are standing up in every corner of this country and saying, no more to the corporate class. No more to the billionaire class. And even as our voices are rising from every nook and cranny of this soon-to-be great country, there are people that say that we have no right to be here. There are people that say we are wasting our time. There are people that say that we are asking for far too much too fast. And we say to those people, we are only demanding everything that was promised to us. We say to them that we take our charge not just from our rights as human beings, but from the document that they hold so dear and great. That we hold these rights to be self-evident, that all men and women and siblings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, amongst these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in order to secure these, governments are instituted amongst people to secure their rights, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That when any of these governments become destructive of these ends, it is the duty of the people to what? To abolish it. To abolish it. Or to abort it. Repeat after me. We are here to either abolish it or abort it. Why? Because the Constitution told us to. And so we stand here to say no more. We are rising up. And all we need is power, transformation, and miracles. We want it. We need it. We got to have it. Right now. Right now. Right now. Power, transformation, and miracles. We want it. We want it. We need it. To have it. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Revolution before revenue. Community before corporations. And all power to the people.
There we go. Okay, I want to welcome Patrick back to the stage to give us a quick blessing before we continue with our program. Patrick? Oh yeah. And do me. Yeah. Both.
I'm giving it a blessing, but I want you here with me. You can give part of it too. Yes. We spent a lot of time not eating and just drinking water 2 years ago, and we spent a lot of time talking in a tent while we were doing all that, so we became very close and brothers, so I wanted them up here with me. There we go. So I want to just read a quick passage from James, from the Bible. Thank you. Okay. Come now, you rich, weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches have rotted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver have corroded, and their corrosion will be evident against you, and will eat your flesh like fire. You have laid up treasures in the last days. Behold, the wages of the laborer who have moved your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you. And the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. You have lived on the earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened your hearts in a day of slaughter. So let's go forth and let's, in the spirit of all of spirituality, spirit of the universe, let's go forth and start the revolution. Let's go forth and carry forward what Pope Francis said, a bold cultural revolution, and in whatever faith tradition we practice or don't practice, let's do it together, do it as one. Amen.
We got a couple more people to hear from. I'd love to welcome to the stage Adam Green, who is the co-founder of Progressive Change Campaign Committee, a 1 million member advocacy group. Adam!
Hello. I'm Adam Green with the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and let me ask you, who is ready to tell the billionaires and the corporations no more buying elections? Who is ready to tell Congress and the Supreme Court that we need to reverse and overturn Citizens United? And who is ready to tell Congress and a lot of Republican state legislators that we need to protect voting rights? That is what binds us here together today. And I want to start off by acknowledging and thanking the people who marched from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. the last 10 days. Raise your hand if you're one of them. Raise your hand. Thank those people. I was proud to join with you yesterday and met so many amazing people. I was there with my dog, Sweet Pea. Also want to thank the people who have given, in some cases days, in some cases weeks, in some cases months, and in at least one case years, to organizing this event. The organizers, thank you so much for everything you've done leading up to this event. Raise your hand if you're one of the organizers or volunteers for this event. Many people over here, raise your hand. The reason that the work of the marchers and the work of the organizers and volunteers is so important is that they have created a foundation upon which we all stand today. They have put oxygen in the room for our issues to get attention. Already we have seen media from MSNBC to NPR to Vice to the Philadelphia Inquirer to international media already covering just the events of past days. And look at all the media that are here today standing on the foundation that's been created. The marchers and the organizers have empowered groups like ours to email our million members with visuals over the last week of amazing marchers in the streets taking back their democracy. They've empowered over 100 organizations who are part of this next week, telling their members, you need to get to DC. And the images that we all tweet out and Facebook out and Friendster out maybe today to our friends will actually inspire others who are on the fence to come and join us for the entire next week. So let's make sure we're diligent about telling others just how amazing this action is. And we all know a lot of people that care about a lot of issues. And a key point for everyone to remember and for the media to report is that the reason campaign finance reform and voting rights are so important is because our success on these issues are key to our progress on every single other issue. If we allow all Americans to vote, and if we get big money out of politics, that makes our jobs infinitely easier. If we care about Wall Street accountability, jailing Wall Street bankers who broke the law, taking on the big oil companies and doing something about climate change, taking on the for-profit prisons and passing reform of our criminal justice laws, taking on the for-profit colleges who have so much money, and doing something about education in this country and student debt. Every military-industrial complex, taking on military-industrial complex, which impacts wars and impacts lives and impacts trillions of dollars that could be invested in our communities. Every one of these other issues, our life becomes infinitely easier if we're successful today, and that's why it's so important that we're here. So my final point is, so why will this tangibly make a difference? Well, first, our goal is to change the conversation and force Congress and lawmakers to act on the people's agenda. And through a show of force, by coming here and not going away, by the media reporting on the actions of all of us together and us doing it through social media, again, we are putting oxygen in the room for this set of issues to thrive. And we are forcing presidential candidates and Senate candidates and House candidates and senators and House members and legislators to all be accountable to us, the people. Who's in? We are here together, and this is so special. I was part of Occupy DC and Occupy Wall Street and was proud to do some civil disobedience then, but this is the first time that I'm doing civil disobedience with the intent of risking arrest today. And it's great to see so many armbands around here. And I gotta say, if there was ever a time in life to do it, I can think of no more important set of issues. I can think of no better organized effort. And I can think of no better set of people to do this with. So let's do it together, people, for our democracy. Thank you so much.
All
How's everybody feeling? Yeah, awesome. I know, I just want to make a quick note. I know a lot of you are live streaming, you're tweeting, you're getting the message out, and we encourage you to do that. We want to see your pictures. We want your friends to see your pictures. So if you want to tweet anything at us, we are at DemSpring. Please hashtag all your pictures, all your videos, hashtag Democracy Spring, or alternately, hashtag Spring is coming. But let's be real, spring's already here, right? Yeah! All right, I got a couple more speakers for you today. The next is going to be Cynthia Murray. Cynthia is a founder of Our Walmart, an organization by workers for workers. Despite intimidation from Walmart, Cynthia continues to fearlessly stand up for rights, safety, and dignity for workers everywhere. Please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are so proud to be here today. Give our welcome to some of our workers that aren't afraid to stand up in the face of democracy. I am a Walmart worker. I work in Laurel, Maryland, and I'm a founder of Our Walmart. Years of low pay and seeing my co-workers mistreated by abusive managers inspired us to form Our Walmart. I use my voice at Walmart to fight for the hours we need to survive and to make Walmart a better workplace. Using our voice to vote is at the center of our idea of democracy. Corporations like Walmart use their deep pockets to drown out the voices of the people like me and my fellow associates. I'm here with two associates who were legally fired for speaking up. Walmart, the biggest corporate spender by a wide margin, ensured the company's control over politics that would regulate things like the minimum wage. Walmart can keep our wages low and subvert our political system in the process. Walmart uses their political influence to create policies that favor them. The Waltons want to use their money to silence us in the voting polls and silence us at our workplaces. That is why we are here today, to fight, to protect our democracy. Thank you.
All right, folks, we got one more speech and we're going to get ready to go. How does that sound? I would love to introduce you to Kai Newkirk. Kai is a progressive organizer and activist. He's a co-founder of 99 Rise, which works to reclaim our democracy, and he helped launch the Democracy Spring movement that's brought us here today. Kai Newkirk.
How's everybody feeling? Are y'all ready to march? Are you ready to take back the people's house? Can you feel that spring is here? Spring is coming and it is here, and we are going to take back the people's house. Now, when we say that spring is here for our democracy, it's not just because the planet is turning. It's because we, the people, have the power when we stand together, and we are coming together today to say no more to the defenders of the status quo of corruption in our country. Are you with me? I want to say just a few words about what brings us here today. That we are here because we insist on the truth of the words that say that all people are created equal. That's not just words. That's not just a sentence written down somewhere. It's something that's true in our hearts. And if that is true, then we must demand that we have, as equals, an equal voice in our government. We are here to defend our freedom. Because the condition of freedom is participation in power. Because if you don't have a say, if you don't participate meaningfully in power, then someone else is ruling you. Then someone else is your master. And in this country, we rule ourselves. But we're also here because we simply demand a future. We demand life. And we know that if we don't have a democracy that works for us all, if we don't have a government that represents all of us, that is a tool to solve our problems, then the crises that we face today as a people threaten our very future. They threaten the possibility of life for the children and grandchildren of those who are here today. And we have to be real about this, that if we don't save our democracy, that those of you who are grandparents here today, you won't be able to look into the eyes of your grandchildren and say that when they are grown, they will grow up on a planet that is capable of supporting life, and we can't accept that. We can't accept that when we come with a demand so urgent to the People's House and to those who would represent us, that they will turn a blind eye and say, that's not even real. We'll do nothing about that. We cannot accept that. And today we say, no more. Our demand is simple. We say to those who would be the people's representatives that they must listen to us. The vast majority of the American people, progressive, conservative, independent, agree that we should have a government in which all of us have an equal voice, where it's not the big money of billionaires that matter, it's the votes of everyday people. And we are saying to them, there are solutions. There are ways to solve this problem. They're sitting in Congress collecting dust. And we do not accept that when they have the power to solve this problem, they refuse to lift a finger. We are here today to say, you must use that power. You must take action immediately to end this corruption of big money in politics and ensure free and fair elections that give us all an equal voice, and you must do it now. Now I know what the pundits say. They say that that's not going to happen, right? The conventional wisdom is that with Republican leadership, nothing is going to happen. But I submit to you today that we are not called here by allegiance to the conventional wisdom, by concerns for what is expedient. The demands of conscience are to ask what is right. The demands of the people are to say what is just. The demands are to say what is true to the principles that they claim to represent. And so we say that from this day forth, inaction on this crisis is inexcusable. You must make a choice. To every member of Congress, to every candidate for any office in our country, they must decide, will you stand on the side of the people, on the side of democracy, or on the side of big money and corruption? And to those who will defend the status quo of corruption, we send a very clear message today. There will be a political price to pay. And when we go to the People's House today, bringing our bodies, bringing the hopes and dreams of millions of people around this country and even the world who desperately need that this government will represent them, that this government will represent the voices, the needs, the dreams of everyone in our country, not just the billionaire class. When we go there and we bring that message, we will say, we will not leave. We will not get up. We will not walk away until you solve this problem or you send us all to jail. And if day after day they have to send hundreds of patriotic defenders of democracy to jail instead of simply doing their job and solving this problem and fixing our broken system, it will send a message to people in this country that this Congress, that this government must be changed. And we send a message to everyone in our country who needs a government that represents us all, that this House is your house too. And now is the time to stand up and to take it back. We say to the children in Flint, Michigan, this house is your house too. We say to the families of the miners who died in West Virginia, this house is your house too. We say to the young men and women that are incarcerated in the system of new Jim Crow in our society, this house is your house too. And we say to the billionaire class and the 1% that think that after generations of blood, sweat, and tears shed to realize the promise of democracy, that we will let it be taken away. No, this government and this country belongs to all of us. And so we are reaching out to everyone in our country who sees this. If you see this video on Facebook, if you're watching the news and you see that there are hundreds of people who have come here today to take back the People's House, we say to you, join us. The people who are gathered here today don't have any more strength or courage than you do. They're not better people than you are. That you have the same power that is in every heart and mind and body that is here. And don't let anyone tell you that you're too old to take a stand and take back the People's House. We know the story of Granny D. She was 88, 89, 90 years old when she walked from California to Washington, D.C. with the campaign finance reform sign on her chest. If she wasn't too old, you're not too old. We know the story of the school children in Birmingham who marched in the streets and faced down the police dogs and the fire hoses because they wanted to end Jim Crow. If they weren't too young, you're not too young. We know the story of undocumented young people, dreamers, who went and risked deportation to sit in at the Senate to win protection for all migrants. If they didn't have too much to risk, you don't have too much to risk. And we know when we search our hearts and we say that in some other time people had so much more to fight for than we do, that when we acknowledge the truth, that everyone we love, that the principles that we love, that the places that we love are all at risk if we don't win a democracy that works for us all, we have to acknowledge that if they didn't have too much to fight for and win, that we don't either. That we have to step up now because everything that we care about is on the line. Are you with me? Will you stand up? Are we ready to march? Are we ready to take back the People's House? And when we say that, it's not because we're naive and we don't understand the history of this country. When we say take it back, it doesn't mean that we imagine there was a time in the past when it was truly the People's House. It's because we acknowledge that there's a place in our hearts where it is the People's House. That there is a principle that is true that we believe in that says it must be the People's House. And we are here today to say that even if it hasn't been in the past, that in our lives, in our time, by our effort, democracy in our country will be real at last. Are you ready to walk? Are you ready to march? Will you sit in? We will say no more. This is the People's House. It's our house. It's our democracy. This is our country. No more. Spring is here. Spring is here. Spring is here. Thank you.
After the rally, several protesters walked to the U.S. Capitol where they staged a sit-in. The demonstration resulted in more than 400 people getting arrested by Capitol Police. Several more sit-ins are expected to take place throughout this week.
Take the power